Hello everyone, this is Claudia from babos.com, and this next card takes a bit longer to make, but it is really worth it. I call it the window lattice card, and it's based on a gatefold card, but you make this really nice lattice framework on the two flaps of the gatefold. So what you're gonna need for this is your basic gatefold, which is scoring at 2 3/4 on each side of a 11-inch long cardstock, and then folding it, this creating the perfect fold, and then choosing your pattern paper for the inside and for the outside. But also, because I'm going to make a lattice card, you're going to have to create kind of two windows on the flaps, and I'm doing that with that long phone stitch die that is a rectangle. You can also just cut it with an X-Acto knife, that is fine. But because I want to take my die cutting machine out, I'm just putting all the papers that I'm going to die cut handy, so then I just use the die cutting machine just once for all my cutting. So let's start with the cutting. First, I'm cutting the inner panel that is going to be on the middle, which was like 5 inches by um, 3 and 75, and now I'm positioning that rectangle on the first flap, and I'm cutting a window in, and then I'm going to do the same on the other flap of my gatefold, and that's going to make the gate be ready for my lattice. And I'm trying to really center everything out, and this is how I have the windows. Now all I need is, because I know I'm going to have a mess, I have two separate flaps from which I'm going to die cut the middle with the same rectangle die, so that I can make some kind of let's say extra flaps to cover up every the messy part that I'm going to do when I'm going to do my lattice, because actually doing a lattice card is sometimes very messy because of all the inner, on the inside you're going to use a lot of glue, and that's going to be sticky, so you need to cover that part out, and you usually cover it up with something that is on the same size as the outside edge. So this is what we have. You have the gatefold with the two flaps cut with the windows, and you have two extra um, separate flaps also with the window cut, and those are going to be used for covering up everything. You have a lot of leftovers, of course, and you have your inner paper. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to start making our lattice, and I am putting some um, tape there because I don't want to accidentally put glue on the inside of my card, so I'm kind of protecting my card there on the side. And all I'm doing is I'm taking my tape adhesive and I'm putting tape all over the place. Now I also have a lot of strips of paper of like 1 millimeter that I cut from dark cardstock, and I'm just arranging them using my grid mat on a diagonal pattern. So I'm always making sure that the space is even using my grid mat, and it helps if you put your if you have put your glue all around it, because then it takes less time. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking other pieces um, of the same paper, and I'm weaving it. So I'm making sure that I pass one on the inside and one on the outside, just like you would weave a basket. It's the same way. And when I'm going on to the next row, I'm making sure that I'm weaving starting on the other direction. So first under and up, and then up and under. So this makes this kind of basket weaving um, idea. This technique kind of takes a while. Okay, it took me around half an hour to finish both flaps, but it's definitely worth it in the end. So you have to be careful because those pieces are not really very good secured, but anyway, the end result is going to look really, really pretty. So now I'm going to show you what you do once you finished. You kind of have to seal everything you did by adding some glue on top of it, and then you're gonna put the extra window that is left, um, and then cut all the um, parts of the lattice that are hanging around. So you have to do that very careful, because you can just ruin it, but with a little bit of care it just works fine. So now you can see it's very sticky on the back, so you need to cover that part up, and you cover it with that extra window that we cut in the beginning. So that is the reason why we have that one, so that now when I'm closing um, my card, it's not going to stick to the other side, because it's everything that is sticky is covered up. And for the sake of time, I did the second part already, and now I'm just going to cover that part up with the extra window there, and that's going to be my lattice part of this card. To make sure that nothing sticks, I'm adding a little bit of powder on the outskirts where I could still see some stickiness, because the powder will make that glue not sticky anymore. So that is one way to get rid of the stickiness. And now I had some more windows cut from the pattern paper, and I'm going to make this one be the outer border, because I didn't want the border to be black. That is not really presenting any interest. So I'm just running some glue all around it, and then I'm going to position it. Everything that is hanging out, I'm just going to cut with some scissors. And I think this kind of finishes the most difficult part of this card. Um, and yeah, always cut everything that hangs out, um, just to make it even on all sides. I can never really cut the exact measurements, but I think this is just fine. And now any mistakes that I did on the outside are going to be covered up, because all I need now to do is to actually embellish the card. So I'm making it a Halloween uh, card, and I'm putting something that I have there die cut with my silhouette. I have some trees, I have a spider web, and I have lots of this kind of cemetery graveyard stones, and I'm just gonna add them in a row, and I'm checking the position now, and then I'm just going to run my wet glue on top of it, and adhere everything. Now you can do this lattice card almost on any holiday theme, also Christmas and others, and I think this offers a very powerful way to tell your story in your cards, and it's really fun to do. The only disadvantage is that it does take a while. I've seen for sale some firms have kind of a personalized die that would cut directly a lattice, but I think if you want the effect of things being woven together, I'm not really sure how to say the English word, but woven, you need to make it manually, because those lattice bars needs to go one under and one up to make this really nice effect. Now to embellish it, I decided that I'm going to cut some leaves, and I'm going to cut also some roses that you can just make yourself. So you cut all the part roses, and then you just assemble it. These are from some Marian design from, from Holland roses. And I'm using also some papers from another semi-system kit. And I'm cutting multiple roses because I'm not sure yet what I'm going to use. I'm trying to use all the scraps of paper that I have, because anyway, otherwise I would throw them away. So I'm just using them here. And I'm cutting a bigger rose and a smaller rose, and then I'm going to assemble them together in the end. Now you can embellish your lattice card any way you want it, but it's going to be harder if you want to embellish something that is um, standing on the lattice, because you don't have a lot of space to actually adhere anything. So I usually just embellish the sides. And now I'm going to show you how I'm doing the actual rows. So you pick the outermost side and you start um, rotating this one until they're all done. And I skip this part because it usually takes a while, and I'm just showing you like how many things I did. I am doing the closing mechanism here, and this closing mechanism has a way of closing with some leaves there that I can put the middle panel just to slide into it, and this will keep my card really closed and, let's say, be nice, um, that it doesn't open on its own. Now, as a last touch, I'm adding some glitter, and this was kind of it. So like I said, for this card, the hardest part is to actually make the lattice, and it's not hard as in it's very difficult to do, but it does take quite some time to do. So be prepared to spend around half an hour just weaving things together. Um, I have tried these lattice cards also with just putting dots of glue to the sides where I wanted to adhere the papers, but I find that liquid glue, it usually dries very slow, and this technique with just putting glue all around from regular glue, it's working faster than I hope you give this technique a try, and let me know if you think this part is really hard or not. These are some more close-up pictures, and I hope really it gives you an idea of how nice this looks. And um, yeah, it will be something nice for somebody to receive this. If you like to see more cards like this or more techniques like this, please don't forget to subscribe now. And thank you so much for watching till the end of this.